welcome to my corner of YouTube. My name is Ainsley, and this is from Mama with Trauma. And I took yesterday off, so I'm back. Today I wanted to talk about how I view trauma and what I see trauma as in showing up in myself, in my body, and in my mind, and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to also, maybe if I don't let this video run too long, talk about the difficulties and complexities I have with female relationships, or I have had. So yes. Those are the two things that I kind of wanted to talk about. As a disclaimer, and I try and say this in all of my videos, I know that there have maybe been one or two that I forgot to say this, but this page is not, I am not saying anything. None of what is coming out of me is coming out of a place of vengeance or maliciousness or harm towards the people who have harmed me. I'm simply creating an avenue on this page for me to audibly hear, obviously because audible, and speak my experience with trauma and navigating that, and also being a mom in the midst of navigating my trauma. That's basically what this page is for, and in hopes that maybe someone will stumble across and find solace in comfort and reassurance in their own journey through trauma. I know I'm not a doctor or anything like that, and all this content that I'm creating is my personal experience and what my conclusions are to doing very deep work. So with that being said, I'd like to jump into it. So, trauma, it's taken me a while to find the language to articulate what I think trauma is to me. And I don't mean to say this, I'm just going to be as truthful as I can. I do not like to seek resources regarding help for my trauma. And I do see a professional. So in that avenue, I have sought help, but I do not like to read other people's views on what they think a person needs to do for trauma therapy. That's just me. I mean, there have been nuggets of things that I've heard, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember going through that, or something like that resonates with me because I've gone through it. But I don't seek external validation or answers. I only go inward. There's no words to describe it, but I truly fundamentally believe that all the answers that I am seeking, and the help and the healing and all of that, I truly believe my body houses the answers. It's just doing the work to connect to my body, so then my body and I can have a conversation, connect to my emotions, because all of these faculties, trauma has basically, I've been completely cut off from. So like emotions, cut myself off from them completely. I was so disconnected from my emotions for years. I mean, it's just basically been the last maybe, well, since my daughter was born, that I started noticing like, hey, I gotta fix this, has got to be fixed. So I don't like to look outside of myself for answers because no one else is me. There's no one else has been in this driver's seat but me. So if I'm the driver and I don't feel like I'm driving, that's a red flag. That's something telling me like, whoa, you need to do some work. You need to, why? Because I question everything. That's just part of my personality, and maybe one day I'll do the importance of astrology. But trauma to me, and what I have found trauma is basically when I was born, like I was born and then traumatic things happened to me, and aging, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually happens in life. Like a human being is doing that the moment they're like, when you're born, that you're growing. You are growing in some form or fashion. And for what I recognize is that as I grew as a human and these traumatic events happen, part of me at the time that those traumatic events happened stopped growing. So a traumatic event happened when I was an infant. I as an adult still have recognized that I have tendencies of an infant because I've had to do the work to go back to that infant and work through the trauma and process the trauma. Other things might happen when I was around 4 or 5. So for me as an adult now in my present self, I can look in and I can recognize I have a traumatic pause of a 4 or 5-year-old that's still very active, still very alive, still very real, but the emotional and mental and spiritual age of that part is still 4 or 5. So for me, trauma like almost kind of encapsulates an age in my body. So like I can have never experienced trauma in some areas, so that I'm like fully mature. I am my present age in some areas. Then there are areas within my body that experience trauma and they're younger. They are the age when that traumatic thing happened. And for me, trauma is basically, and working through trauma is doing this work of recognizing this stuff and being mature enough in my present self to be healthy enough and mature enough to be able to go back to those painful and heartbreaking moments and be there for that part, be there for that age, be there for that individual who had that trauma, and sit with them and almost like be a parent to that part, all while still very much in my own normal present self, like today in my body. So as I explain this, I think it's amazing how trauma works and how it fractures and puts so many lenses in between a person and their creating their reality. Like, you could literally have so many lenses going on in between of like how you're really viewing the world, and all these traumatic lenses, and then you just being a grown adult. Like, for example, I'll be, my birthday is tomorrow, I'll be 39 tomorrow. That doesn't mean I am fully cognitively and mentally and emotionally and physically operating completely at a 39-year-old's capacity. It's impossible. It is impossible to have gone through everything that I've gone through for me to just, not that I can't heal and I cannot work with these parts and we can become symbiotic and there can be a great relationship. I do think that there's always almost like a division within oneself because of the planets and the moon and the sun and the creator and all of that kind of stuff. But that's another video for another day. But yes, so I have recognized in myself that is what trauma is, and going back and figuring out how to go back and sit with these parts and find all of these lenses, like the questioning, the amount of scrutinizing and questioning the voices in my head who are telling me why I think what I think, how I feel what I feel, just so many things, because I've been told I was told so many conflicting things growing up. Do this, but act this way. Do this, and just like the back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and just having to like distance myself completely from the family that I grew up in, and almost like withdraw so much, so significantly and so severely that just being in a state of isolation most of my life, or numbness or whatever. So yes, that is my take on what trauma looks like to me and how I find it, and how also that my child, her existence truly activates a lot of it, especially as she gets older, because, being an infant, or like from 0 to 1, like there was very much a part of me that was that age, and it just like was like almost a regurgitation within my body of this age, and I was confused. I'm like, what is going on? Why am I feeling this way? Like, this is so confusing. I know I need to pay attention to this because obviously it's happening in my body, and this is all I've got. If I can't trust my body, then who the hell else can I trust? No one. But as she continues to age, I'm recognizing like her role and importance of being in my life, and how it's just as vital as a child. It's almost more vital for a child, recognizing a child's importance and necessity and reason to consume a space. It's so crucial, more so than the parent's role, because I can care for this child, I can get you the basic necessities, but a child gains access to the emotional and the spiritual and the knowing realm that an adult has been so distanced from because of the trauma. So like, to see those two relationships for me work harmoniously, or want them to work harmoniously. I like want my child to be a part of my life in the most natural, organic way that it was designed to be like. Because my first go at it was so horrible, and I'm suffering, and I'm struggling because of that. But that doesn't mean I want to transfer that to this. I want my child's light to be reflected on all the parts that I need to look at and examine. And so if you are a mom and you are like struggling, like, I promise you, your child's role in your life is so important. If you could just let go. Let go. And I'm telling you to do that because I have done it. I have done the hard, heartbreaking, painful thing, the messy thing, and it is worthwhile. I have a 6-year-old now, and I'm telling you, I'm so glad I started doing this hard work when she was like, oh, how old was she? She was 2. 2? Maybe. Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. Maybe 2, maybe 3. But I'm telling you, like, the role a child plays in a parent's healing is so crucial. It's so crucial, and it's so beautiful, and it is the most amazing thing, and why I think children choose the parents that they do, or if you, that's again my perspective. But yes, trauma is a bitch, and it will steal everything from you if you let it. If you allow, if you just, not if you allow, and I can't even say that, but I guess I just want someone to know, or people to know, that no matter what you have been through and how horribly you were treated, and how maybe messed up your life is now, like maybe you're a drug addict, or you are, I don't know, just anything, like that, you literally have value and worth. And though no one ever told you that you did, I'm telling you, you do. You do. And I hope that you find your worth and value for yourself, because once you connect to that, and once you go through the trauma to recognize that, and you can hook into that and find that foundation, nothing will stop you. Nothing will be able to stop you, because nothing can take you from yourself as an adult. As a child, I think that's where their vulnerability comes in, because adults do take from children, because they're children. They're like so vulnerable. But I just want some people to, I want you to know, whoever watches this, or even back to myself, that the worth that is inside of you really does exist. It always has. And if no one treated you that way, like, it's still there. If you are think you're so far gone, and you made all of these decisions, and you're acting a certain way that doesn't seem deemed acceptable by society, whatever the hell that means. I just want you to know, I see you. I see you in your struggles, and what the trauma has done, and how it's added so many complex layers to your life, and how you've had to do a lot of things to get you where you are today, just to survive. And that survival part of you is worth getting to know and loving, and then releasing. But I'm going to come back, because I just realized how long this video is. But I'm Ainsley from A Mama with Trauma, and if you enjoy my page, please come back, or share it, or whatever. Okay, have a good one.